Today's webinar features Kootenay Silver. Kootenay is a junior exploration company focused on the discovery and development of silver projects in Chihuahua and Sonora, Mexico. Kootenay has successfully discovered 4 deposits with resources totaling over 214 million ounces of silver equivalent in the M&I categories, plus another 109 million ounces in silver equivalent in inferred resources. Kootenay has one of the largest junior-owned silver resource bases in Mexico. The company is currently focused on its flagship Columba project, where stage 1 of a 50,000-meter drill program is currently underway following a recent maiden resource. Today I have with me on the webinar Raj King, who's the CFO and Corporate Secretary at Kootenay Silver. We also have Jeff Sundar, who's Capital Market Advisor to the company. So the format of today's webinar will be comprised of 2 parts. We'll start off with Raj and Jeff providing an update on Kootenay, and then in the second we'll take your questions live. So please send them in using the chat and we'll get to as many as we can. I'll note that you can type in your questions at any point throughout the presentation. To start, we'll handle the disclosures and then get into the presentation. So for Kootenay Silver, there may be some forward-looking statements made on this call. I would direct listeners to the cautionary note on page 2 of the Kootenay corporate presentation located on the company's website. For Red Cloud Securities Inc., I would highlight that this webinar is for information purposes only and should not be considered a solicitation to purchase or sell securities or a recommendation to buy or sell securities. We note that this call does not take into account the particular situation or needs of individual investors. Participants should rely on their own investigations and seek their own professional advice before investment. Please see our most recent research located on our website for Kootenay Silver specific disclosures. So with that out of the way, I'll turn it over to Jeff to kick things off for us with the company.
Taylor, thanks for your introduction. As Taylor mentioned, Kootenay Silver is focused in Mexico. We've got over 325 million ounces of silver equivalent over our 4 project areas. The focus is the Columba project. We've issued a maiden resource this year, 54 million ounces of 284 grams silver, and then we're now fully funded for $18 million after our summer completion of a bought deal financing to drill the next 50,000 meters that we feel will get this to 100 million ounces and beyond. Taylor's got a $3.20 target on the project. And as Taylor mentioned, Raj Kang's our longtime CFO, and he's going to go over the story today. I'll be back available for questions at the end.
Thanks very much, Jeff. Thanks, Taylor. So Kootenay Silver, we're focused on silver exploration in Mexico and have been there for a number of years. Forward-looking statements as indicated. So what does Kootenay Silver have? As Taylor mentioned, we're one of the largest junior-owned silver asset bases in Mexico, so a significant leverage to the price of silver. We just released a maiden resource on our Columba project, which is an epithermal vein system in Chihuahua State, with a maiden resource of 54 million ounces in the inferred category. The potential on Columba, as I hope to show you as we go through this presentation, is quite exceptional. So we're looking forward to drilling for the balance of this year and into early next year. So the re-rating between our silver bank, as we call it, which contains the 325 million ounces in all categories in silver equivalent, plus the 54 million from the maiden resource of Columba, definitely sets the stage. Quick overview of our board of management, and this is really just to show the width of experience from grassroots exploration all the way up to project financing to mine building. James McDonald, unfortunately can't be on this presentation, is our president and CEO. He was formerly one of the founders of National Gold, which merged with Alamos Gold in the early 2000s. National had the Mulatas project. He stepped off of that board in 2012 and has been focused on Kootenay solely since. Dale Britliff joined us for a second stint about a couple of years ago, and he's our VP Exploration, lots of experience in Mexico, Australian born, and has worked in Canada as well. So good to have him on the team. Ken Berry's our chairman. He was formerly the president and CEO of Northern Vertex Mining. They took the Moss mine into production in about 2018. That was in Arizona. Jeff joined us about a year ago. He's helping in the capital markets advisory role. A number of successes under Jeff's name, Northern Empire and Underworld, to name just a few. And we also have Hans Schmidt as a geological advisor as well, who was formerly one of the founders of Orla Mining and Grade Resources. So just a good width of experience. A quick overview of our capital structure, just shy of 82 million shares outstanding, with a market cap as of Friday about 99.3 million. High low, you can see there, 155 on the high, 84 on the low. Average volume across the various exchanges is just 676,000 on a 90-day average. The cash and cash equivalent, that was as of our March 31st, our last reporting period as yet, was 2.3, but as Jeff indicated, we closed a $20 million port financing in late June of this year. So our treasury is sitting up and above about 18 million at this moment. A number of key shareholders, including Eric Sprott, Condire, a hedge fund from Texas, institutions heavily weighted in Europe as well as in North America. And we've attracted in the past a number of majors, including Core Mining, Agnico Eagle, and Pan American Silver. And they all came in at different stages of the company over that time. They are former holders from our understanding now. So the Kootenay Silver assets, again, going to our main focus at the moment, which is the Columba Silver project, issued a inferred mineral resource in June of this year and filed a technical report in August indicating an inferred basis 54.1 million ounces. So a really good start. That basically encapsulated 53,000 meters of drilling. Our resource properties, and we have three in that category, excluding Columba, host 214 million ounces in silver equivalent ounces in the M&I category and a further 109 million in the inferred category. And that's silver equivalent. And they're hosted between three projects, Promontorio, La Negra, and La Cigarra. And all our technical reports are all updated, looking for this next move in the silver market. We do also have a generative portfolio, a number of assets within Mexico that are not our core focus. We option those out to other juniors who are interested in drilling and taking that further, usually on an option deal, which culminates in a joint venture. One of such was Cervantes, which we had a deal with Aztec. They earned their 65% interest. We went into a joint venture. We decided to sell our 35% interest for 10 million shares and retain a 0.5% royalty. Give you an idea of where we are located. So we have two projects in the Sonora state, Promontorio and La Negra. And La Negra is basically 7 kilometers away from the original Promontorio discovery. And then in the Chihuahua state, we have La Cigarra in the famous Perel district, a number of silver mines in that area. And then Columba, our focus as of this moment, is also in northern Chihuahua. These projects are all along the Sierra Madre trend, which has hosted a number of exceptional mines in the past. So milestones and catalysts, a number of milestones, including the issue of the 43-101 and mineral resource estimate. And our catalyst for the coming year is basically we started drilling at Columba again. It's a staged 50,000 meter program. We're currently on stage 1, which is between 25 and 30,000 meters, budget of about $9 million for drilling costs associated to that. So the focus is to drill, expand the resource by large step-out holes. We haven't found the end of this vein system, so it's really a case of seeing how far we can go. So our mapping and prospecting program is underway, so we see continuous news flow to the end of this year and into the next year. So let's focus more on that Columba and the drill program. Quick highlight. Columba was a producing mine in the early 1900s, between 1900 and 1910. Secondary stint in 58 to 60. Silver prices closed that down. And for us, it was the interest of reported high-grade drill results from the Columba that initiated our interest. The thing to point out is Columba never had any drilling or modern-day exploration until we drilled it in early 2019. And since that point, we've drilled 53,000 meters up to the end of 2024 or early 25, should I say. And a number of veins have been discovered across the width of the system. And this picture just shows you an outcrop of the J vein with our guys in the middle, prospecting right there to give you a size of the scale of the system. So again, indicate 54.1 million ounces, 5.292 million tons, grading 284 grams per ton silver. There is lead and zinc in the system as well. Average vein about 5 to 6 meters, and the work program, as indicated, was really to focus on building out the D, F, and B veins, which I'll show you in the next slide. So this is a Google image of our Columba project. We are situated in rancher country, and basically there's a highway that you can just see in the corner there, that yellow line up the far right corner. The old head frame that was there, established in the early 1900s. And the vein swarm that we see here is basically a 4 kilometer by 3 kilometer measurement. And it goes, what we see is in the caldera that you see right in the middle here, the elevation there is about 1,650 meters to 1,700 meters. And then as you go up the hill, you can actually walk in the caldera and see the veining, and it's mineralized. As you go up the hill, you can still see the veining, but the mineralization has dropped off. And then you come back down the hill, and then the mineralization is back there when you get back to that same elevation. And this has held true as yet throughout all our drilling that we've seen here. Quick overview of comparable epithermal vein systems within Mexico that we are seeing the potential of us going well above 100 million ounces of silver. On the left here, we have the Silvercrest project, Les Chispas. And this is a picture from 2021, I believe, and that shows their vein systems. At that point, I think it was 140 million ounces in the reserve category of silver, silver equivalent, should I say. In the middle there is Vizsla and the Copala project. And this was taken a few years back as well. They've got over 300,000 ounces there now. And there on the right is our vein swarm, and the red dots indicate the drilling that we've done so far. So the theory behind it, we've drilled 53,000 meters. Each of the other two are in excess of 350,000 meters. So we're still very early in the stages, but with the initial resource, we see a high potential of exceeding expectations. Quick deep dive into some of the grades that we've seen in the vein swarm here. Quickly point out though, there is a claim here you can see, which is currently not ours. It's something that hasn't been liberated by the Mexican government. And then you see this vein sliver, this claim sliver, which is also not ours, but we're in the process of negotiating a deal on that. So the system is, as I mentioned, 4 by 3 kilometers. And you can see some of the results that we got, especially along the F, D, and B vein. So the F vein is right here in the middle, and that's the historic vein where the mining was done. And you can see that there was 2 shafts put down. And that's at the caldera level, basically the 1650. And then running south of that is the D vein here, which has pulled out some significant drill holes and results. 34 meters of 540 grams per ton silver, including nearly 6 kilos of 2.5 meters of nearly 6 kilos. And then you see 29 meters of 453 grams per ton silver. This is pure silver numbers. And this extent of the D vein is now 1,250 meters that we've drilled so far. And there's still more to drill, of course. The B vein here is again showing the same sort of numbers, higher interval, 98.7 meters at 211, including 12 meters of 531 grams per ton silver. Again, this is just purely silver numbers, as the silver does carry very well in this system. I'm not a geologist, so I'm going to attempt to do this part of it. The F vein long section, this really is just a depiction of that bottom of that caldera, and you can see where the shaft with 6 levels was put down across the system, and then there's the smaller America shaft up on the left of that image. We initially went into the F vein just to really see the historic grades that we had read about and were purported existed. And as you can see, there was a number of hits, nearly 2 meters of 755 grams per ton silver, 9 meters of 354 grams per ton silver, including 1.5 meters of 985 grams. Now, the system here works 2 ways. You've got the actual F vein, and then you've got a hanging wall and a stockworks vein that goes with it. These numbers are purely the vein itself. And this is a gram meter depiction, and the red are the hot spots, of course. And as indicated here, you can see the at surface is about 750 meters above sea level. When we look at the D vein, which is, as I mentioned, we've drilled about 1,250 meters in strike length now. The same sort of system appears to be the case. As you go up the system, you see that there's hardly any grading there, but you can see the vein system. But this grade line is where the mineralization drops in. So as the red map shows, as we go further into that the sweet spot of the elevation, we get the grades. Hole 199 had 16.5 meters of 620 grams per ton silver, and then all the way up to hole 164, that's where we have the 98 meters of 211 grams per ton silver, including 12 meters of 531. This is still open to depth and in both directions, so lots more drilling to be done. And again, it's opening up very well. Quick overview of the mineral resource estimate. Won't focus too long. Average grade 284 grams per ton silver. The cutoff grade used for our MRE was 150 grams per ton, which is a very good number. But as you can see in the sensitivity, that even at 200 grams per ton cutoff, there's 43 million ounces in the silver category. And this is a breakdown by vein. As you can see, the predominant vein at the moment, when I say at the moment, is the D vein, and the F vein, which is the other historic vein system, carries the next highest category. But there are a number of veins that we're still working on and focusing on to bring this through. Some footnotes on the resource estimate. And this is what our priority targets are for 2025. The ones in the, I'm going to call it pink because that's the way I work, are the F, B, D vein. And as you can see, the B and the D vein seem to be joining as you go further along the system. So on the breakout of the split, we've got a lot of drilling to do in the D vein, and then the B vein, and then exploration targets. As you can see, there are a number of targets outside of drilling that we've done, which we see the veining at surface. It's just putting some holes into the system. So this is a breakdown on the 50,000 meters. As I say, we're in that 25 to 30,000 meter program at the moment. So what's next? I seem to be repeating myself. The 50,000 meters ongoing. Expansion of that DF and B vein, which will be up to that 30,000 meters, using other tools as well to source out new targets, and those exploration targets which haven't been tested as yet. Approximately 10,000 meters of drilling there as well. We currently have 2 rigs on site. We're looking at adding another after shortly, hopefully. So that's the Columba, and then I just give a quick overview of our Perel or La Cigarra system in the Pearl Silver District. We control 20 kilometers of a 40-kilometer trend that goes into the San Francisco del Oro mine and the Santa Barbara mine, which is south of that. Very good area to be in that the Santa Barbara and San Francisco are down to depths of about 2,000 meters and still producing silver. Over 500 million ounces of silver has been produced from those two mines. Our resource is basically 51.5 million ounces in the M&I category and 11 million ounces in the inferred, and that's silver only. It's open to depth. We've only drilled down to about 200 meters, so it's still open to depth and in all directions. And we can definitely see ways of expanding on that resource. It's not our main focus at the moment, but in this given silver price, things could change dramatically. And last but not leastly is Promontorio and La Negra. So Promontorio was our original discovery, large polymetallic system, as you can see there, 42 million tons with an average silver equivalent grade of 104 grams per ton silver, containing about 141 million ounces in the M&I and a further 40 million ounces in the inferred. In 2014, we discovered La Negra, which is basically, as that picture shows, is the hilltop there, about 7 kilometers away from Promontorio. And basically, what excited us about this was it was mineralized at the top of the hill. One of our breakout holes was 200 meters, 156 grams per ton silver. This project was optioned to Pan American Silver in 2016. They basically wanted to get the target up to at least 50 million ounces silver in La Negra. Didn't quite get there. It's about 26 million ounces. They returned it to us in late 2019, I believe, after spending about $4.5 million US on the project. Definitely a good project. Has its a very low strip ratio. You'll just be peeling away the top of that hill. So, reasons to invest in Kootenay, as far as we're concerned, has mentioned one of the largest silver-owned asset bases in Mexico. Continuing drill bit discovery through Columba. We're funded for our drill program, as Jeff indicated. So we see that potential for a re-rating through the drill bit, as well as a rising silver price, definitely on our side. And we've got a good track record between the management. All right. Concludes the presentation.
Perfect. Thank you very much, Raj and Jeff. We'll now turn to the Q&A portion of the webinar. Just a reminder to everybody on the line that you can type your questions into the chat box and we will get to them as they come in. Maybe to start off just at Columba, just wondering, we have a question here about maybe the water situation. It looks like a pretty dry part of the country. Maybe if you just have any comments on that front.
Yeah, we haven't ran into any water problems, but was a problem in Mexico as a whole. It does look barren on that Google image, but that is farming territory. And if I can manage to get back to the slide, I can just indicate a few things. Because on the left of that image is a number of crop circles, as I would call them. So this is definitely farming territory. We do have water for our drill rigs, and the replenishment rate has been working well. So haven't run into any problems as yet, but water is always a concern in Mexico, as you well know. And there's the image I was looking for. So this is all very much farming territory up on that right-hand side of the image. And we're about a 30-minute drive from that paved highway into the rancher land. And we do have a 24-year access and exploration agreement and exploitation agreement with the ranch owner.
Perfect. Okay. We have another question here, probably more on the corporate side, just wondering what the long-term goal is for the company. Do you want to move these towards production or just, drill, upgrade resources, build that reserve base and get taken out by a major or make sales to a major? Maybe kind of what's your view on the landscape right now on that front?
Right. So primarily, Kootenay was set up as an exploration company there to find and expand on projects by building a resource bank. But the way we've seen things unfolding is nowadays you have to do a lot more than just have a discovery. You have to de-risk as much as possible. So we're working on those phases as well. We do have the experience to go into production. It wouldn't be our primary focus, but with Columba, we definitely see a path to doing that through expanding this resource while ensuring that we're getting all of the items de-risked as we go along. So hard to say what would happen. I personally believe if you can build up, as we've seen with Silvercrest, they went all the way to production and then got taken out. That situation is definitely there. We'll see where Vizsla goes on the size that they're making. But on our viewpoint, keep building it, drill it out, get it up to that plus 100 million ounce category. And generally speaking, if you've got the grades, we see the silver miners are looking every day at who's the next project that they can take out.
Right. Yeah. Maybe sticking on that theme, we talk quite a bit about what's going on at Columba with that program, the 50,000 meters. What about at the other assets? I mean, at these prices, they are starting to look more and more attractive, given where the silver price is now. What's the outlook on those? Any work programs in the pipeline, or kind of what's the strategy?
Yeah. So if I go to the next project in our queue would be La Cigarra. We are looking and in the process of looking at preparing, or it's underway, should I say, an economic summary of what it looks like as it stands as of today. And we had always said that once silver was about $22 to $25, La Cigarra would be very interesting. It started off at 22, but you've seen where inflationary costs have come in. So it's really a case of with the 52 million ounces in the M&I and the 11 in third, doing an internal statement and then proceeding. We do have a drill plan on that, which could definitely add some ounces in our opinion, but we just haven't been focused on that.
Right. Okay. And then just in terms of Mexico itself, what are you seeing on the ground right now in terms of, we have the new administration in place for a little while now. How are things going? We're obviously seeing some acquisitions in the space in the country. What's the read on the ground that you're seeing?
Overall, the read on the ground with the change of the government has been positive in our viewpoint. Definitely strides are being made to look at mining projects. It's a very important industry in Mexico. I mean, there's still some overhang when it comes to open pit, but companies like Discovery, as we've seen, who have a very large open pit potential, are definitely getting some positive flavor and positive sounds. We're hoping to get some real distinctive feedback from the government. I don't think it's their highest priority at the moment. A couple of other issues to deal with first. But overall, the feel on the ground and the consultants we have there, things are moving in a positive direction.
Excellent. Okay. Maybe let's turn to just kind of the engagement with the locals and groups you have locally there. I know I did a site visit a little while ago. It seemed like very positive, relations with landowners and the local community. I assume that's still the case, and everything's good on that front.
Yeah, definitely the case. We, as I mentioned, we have a 24-year exploration, and access agreement with the main area that holds this main swarm. We additionally have another agreement with the rancher that runs along the side, and the Hido that's within the area. So we attend the meetings. We have a good one-on-one relationship with our guys who are based in Mexico, with the landowners and the Hido. So positive overall.
Okay, and then with the ongoing program at Columba, what's the cadence of results and getting some news flow from that? When do you think that'll pick up? And I assume it'll be on pretty much consistent from then on, given the scale of the program?
Yeah, I would agree with you there, Taylor. We started the program very early on in August of this year. It could have been the last days of July, actually. We got 2 rigs on site. I would expect between 6 and 8 weeks for the first set, and then, as you mentioned, it will be continuous thereafter on drilling. We get the core in, we split it on site, and send it out to the labs directly.
Okay. And then from that kind of initial phase of the program, do you know how kind of when that first phase is scheduled to kind of complete at this point, or?
It really depends on how many drill rigs we get on site. Generally speaking, these are mobile rigs, so no roads are being built up there, and they're very fluent on how they can move those mobile rigs around. I would imagine if we do a 30,000 meter program, it's probably going to take just under a year to drill out that first phase.
Mm-hmm. Okay, and the as you discussed, the focus kind of on drilling out those key veins. How is any of the program dedicated to looking at different veins and finding different zones of mineralization, or is it really kind of infill and extending veins and bringing veins with drilling that might have too wide of spacing into a future resource?
Yeah, right now, that's a really good question. Right now, the viewpoint is expansion, not infill. So as you can see, the maiden resource was all inferred, and that was because we've got 100-meter spacing in certain areas, and we'd have to really close that up to get it into an indicated or measured category. But the focus here is really to focus on the D, extend that D vein, and then on this image you can see the D is running all the way down southeast on this project, and then you got the F vein that goes up the hill and goes down southeast. And just to point out, there's a rock chip sample there at the bottom of that picture of 121 grams per ton silver. And that is basically back at the same elevation as we see in the caldera. So you go up the hill, nothing. So there's a lot of expansion drilling, a lot of exploration drilling to be done. But the first focus is going to be to continue with the D vein and the B vein and a limited portion to the F vein. And then we'll focus on these other things that we see up here that have limited drilling in there, but are very interesting.
Okay. Yeah, makes sense. Okay. I'll put out a final call for questions to the audience right now, but maybe in the interim, while we're waiting for the audience to maybe submit last-minute questions, if Jeff or yourself, Raj, want to kind of give a final pitch to investors, I think now is a good time to do that if you'd like.
Sure. Well, I'm enjoying my time working with Kootenay, but I follow the whole silver space, and we're seeing that quarter over quarter capital is flowing into this space. So has been outpacing gold over the last couple quarters. Kootenay is one of 10 companies maybe listed in Canada that have a resource base of this size. So I see Kootenay having great leverage going forward in the silver market. We're excited about this Columba project going forward over the next year.
I definitely mirror what Jeff put together there, because it's exactly the frame of mind that we feel as well. The silver space is heating up. And we definitely got an asset that, when we compare to some of the peers, and we were much earlier than the Vizslas and the Silvercrest, and have only drilled 1/6 or 1/8 of what they've drilled to be where they are in the resource side of things. It looks very promising.
Perfect. Okay. We did have a couple of questions come in here. One kind of a repeat here, looking what the strategy is for taking the project to production or JV. For that person, I'd say go back to the beginning of our Q&A session in the replay, because we discussed it there. I think they're asking about a PFS, but I think it's kind of early days to put a time on that. Correct me if I'm wrong.
Yeah, I mean, Potentially after the additional 50,000 meters are done, we'd put something together along those lines, whether it be a PFS or a PEA at that point. But yeah, too early at the moment. And definitely with this having only an inferred category, there's a lot of infill to be done, as you know, Taylor. So we're not focusing on infilling at the moment.
Yeah, makes sense. Okay, I think those are all the questions that came in there. So I think we'll wrap it up there. So I would like to thank Raj and Jeff from Kootenay Silver for taking the time today to host the webinar with Red Cloud Securities, and thank you to everybody on the line for tuning in with us.